Inside Sources.
I guess it was only a matter of time, but certain segments of our economy have been hit harder than others by the tariffs that the administration has imposed. John Deere, the legacy tractor maker, has announced layoffs at 3 facilities as that company grapples with tariffs and declining sales.
Yeah, one of the things that they've said, in fact, I saw this article, a deer in the tariff headlights. Clever, yes. Right? DEERE. Right. So, we just keep, I guess we just keep having these conversations about, well, when are the tariffs going to hit? Well, they are hitting, right? They are hitting. And so the Deere company says that they expect that the pre-tax damage from tariffs, they'll reach $600 million in the current fiscal year, which is up from a previous forecast of $500 million. They're coming from the tariffs on India, the EU, and his 50% border tax on steel and aluminum. So not only did it hit their earnings, but it hit their employees.
Yeah, and the company issued a statement that said this: the struggling ag economy continues to impact orders for John Deere equipment. This is a challenging time for many farmers, growers, and producers, and directly impacts our business in the near term. That's a big hit for them. And you mentioned earlier, I think you said that some of the smaller ticket items coming in are so affected that
they're returning to sender. Yeah, right. So we'll talk about that in just a second if that's okay. But still on this same with like John Deere, you have Caterpillar, which is another really big U.S. manufacturer, right? I mean, they do a lot of stuff here, but they have to bring stuff in. And they're saying that tariff-related costs could reach $1.5 billion in 2025, this year. Caterpillar.
Yeah, I guess I'd be interested in knowing where a lot of that comes from. Are they buying certain items from China, or they, where are they purchasing, or where are they selling that's being hit so hard by these tariffs?
It's not just China, but that's what they're saying with John Deere is that it's India, right? Remember, India,
of course,
and then the EU, and then you've got that border tax on steel and aluminum. So when I think of tractors, I do think of steel.
Lots of steel. Yes.
Yeah. So that's part of it. And it's one of the things that's just got to be so frustrating for these companies, right? Because these are U.S. companies, these are U.S. manufacturers, but not every single thing is here. And they're going to be hit hard, including layoffs, right? And, of course, price increases.
I mean, you think of John Deere, you think of Caterpillar.
Yeah.
I mean, those are American companies,
yeah.
and they sell orders all over the world.
Yeah.
I mean, in big-time orders.
Yeah. So let's go back to what you're saying about the global mail carriers. So interesting. They're saying, a lot of them are saying they've got to suspend deliveries to the United States because there was a tax exemption on low-value packages. That was $800 or less, but that's set to expire. And so you may have ordered something that may never show up.
Yeah, that's interesting.
This is going to affect millions of businesses around the world and Americans who rely on them for their products. Some European postal companies have decided to stop shipping to the U.S. until they figure out how this new rule is going to work. So starting Friday, any package coming into the U.S. that's worth under $800 will have to go through customs and will be tariffed. That tariff had been waived under what's called the de minimis tariff exemption, but President Trump getting rid of that after signing an executive order last month. This will affect all the countries shipping to the U.S.
Look, I order online, and some of the stuff I know comes internationally. There's clothing that comes from China. I mean, and I'm buying small dollar items. Look, we have a texter who said that her daughter's dress was held up in customs because of the tariffs, and it never made it in time for her wedding. Her daughter's wedding dress. And
there was what they called the de minimis tariff exemption for items, I think, under $800,
right,
which seemed to make a lot of sense because the tariff almost overcame the value of the property.
That's right. You're talking about like Temu, right?
Right.
Which cheap stuff from China. But there's also furniture companies, and they're another company or another, I guess, industry that could be hit with tariffs. But companies like Wayfair, RH, and Williams-Sonoma, they all saw their shares dropped when the news was announced that the Trump administration is looking at how tariffs could impact furniture imports. And in fact, I literally just purchased something from Wayfair, and I think a lot of their stuff probably does come from China.
And you reminded me this morning that today is August 25th, which means it's 4 months from Christmas. So this is going to affect consumers and purchasers so deeply in the next 4 months. And it seems to me that the tariff situation has largely been settled. I know that there's still
it has not. It hasn't. Maybe, that's the problem, right? Is that there's so much uncertainty. So we've talked about tariffs on Christmas. We've talked about Christmas trees. They had to place those orders in the spring. To get them through all the way through the supply chain takes a long time, right? They're not sent by airfare or air carrier. They're sent by ship. But they placed those orders in April when the tariffs on China were 125%. So they ordered less, and the price is going to be more. We know that most of our toys come from China. Most of our games come from China, right? So we're talking about impacts on Christmas directly. But we have, it's just, for me, I think there's so much uncertainty. I'm not an economist, but when we talk to our economist friends, that's what they tell us. Well, there's just uncertainty in the markets, right? There's so much uncertainty.
Yeah, and it goes both ways. I mean, I'm sure that there are people in the European Union and in other countries who are having the same conversation we're having today, going, what's going on? I mean, our businesses are being affected. People are losing jobs. I mean, John Deere, you know what? That's probably been a company that's been around for 100 years, shutting down factories.
Yeah. Look, this is back to John Deere, and this is from the Wall Street Journal. One reason the Farm Belt is struggling, lower exports to China despite the recent tariff truce. The U.S. exported $5.5 billion in farm goods to China in the first half of the year, which is half as much as the same period in the year before. So the overall U.S. agricultural trade deficit is hitting a record. Farm exports used to be an American strength, and guess what? Now we can't do it.
Yeah, I mean,
we also have tariffs at the grocery store.
I would hope that there would be a reset. I mean, when the administration hears something like this, and that jobs are going to be affected, and that huge companies that have been a part of the American economy for years have been affected. I'd say
this is Trump country too, right? The Farm Belt. They voted overwhelmingly for President Trump, and here we are. They're seeing some real impacts for some of his policies.
Well, I hope some of them get his attention. I mean, I really do. I think there's got to be some end to this. Furniture, agriculture community, and then this de minimis, low ticket items.
Right.
That'll make the daily Amazon shipment at my house slow down.
Decrease.
My wife, I'm going to be
decrease. Look, I have ordered online a couple of times from a company in India, and they do clothing. So I've ordered a couple of dresses from them, and I can just imagine, right? It's like if my dresses go up 50%, I'm not going to buy them anymore. Right.
And you get these small American companies who are importing some of their products from China so that they can sell, goods and toys and things like that, and they can't afford it anymore because their markup was never that great in the first place, and now they're paying a 35, 50, whatever % tariff on goods coming in.
And it depends, right? And they change all the time. So so multiple countries are suspending packages being sent to the United States. So there's even things from Europe. We know some of the things that are being hit in Europe. They're not high ticket items, but European chocolate, European wine, there are things that come from Europe that Americans enjoy, but they're going to be turned around at the border.
So at what point do you think, Holly, we revisit this? I mean, is it on a monthly basis? Do we write it out for 6 months and see what happens? I mean, I know I said it's settled. It's not settled, but it seems to be getting more and more to the point where we have these tariff agreements that are now in place, at least with some of our larger trading partners, and those are seemingly in place because they want some continuity. They want to have an idea of where we're going.
Well, I would say Republicans in Congress want you to wait 3 years and 4 months, the rest of President Trump's term, to see if things turn around. And that's some of the argument, even for the John Deere stuff. It's like, well, give it enough time for manufacturing to come back. But we've had many conversations with people who say it's just not that easy to bring stuff back. Do you remember Geneva Steel down in Utah County?
I worked there.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, well, I've lived in Utah County forever, but one of the things they said is when they shut down those smokestacks and stopped producing steel there, they would never be able to turn them back on. It is not as simple as saying, okay, well, we're going to bring it back to the U.S. It's just not that easy.
Yeah, a little known fact, I was a metallurgist before I
was that's right. You told me that.
And I worked at U.S. Steel, Geneva Works, back in the day. It was a fun place to work. It was sad to see it torn down. When we come back, at least 20 people, including 5 journalists, were killed after an Israeli strike on a hospital in Gaza. We'll have the details next. Stay with us on KSL News Radio, and you can stream us on KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.